You're watching Las Vegas 1. News and information 24/7.
Republicans are not alone when it comes to targeting Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid. A new ad by a liberal organization questions Reid's resolve on the public option. Will the divisive Democrats prompt Reid to lean more to the left? Or will the strategy benefit the right? We'll hear from splintered factions of the Democratic Party. Plus, did Harry Reid really save City Center? We'll put his new campaign ad through a reality check. That's all next on Face to Face.
Tough questions, direct answers. This is Face to Face with Jon Ralston.
Welcome to Face. I'm Jon Ralston. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid has long been a lightning rod of criticism from the Republican Party and conservative pundits. But now, Reid's also catching flack from the left, from liberals who fear he's about to abandon the holy grail of health care reform, the public option. In a little while, we'll find out who's more of a leftist, Democratic activist Erin Neff or liberal blogger Hugh Jackson. We'll also put Reid's first campaign ad through the reality check ringer. But first, here's an ad that questions whether Reid can be trusted to deliver on that controversial public option.
For nearly 20 years, I've taken care of patients who need critical care here in Nevada. I've seen private insurance companies cut off medical care for so many of my patients. And now it's happening to me. I broke both my hips, and my insurance company won't cover all the care I need. My family could soon be bankrupt. I'm your typical swing voter. I voted for Republicans for president, and I voted for President Obama. I also voted for Senator Harry Reid many times. But in 2010, I'll only be voting on one issue. I'm watching to see if Harry Reid is strong and effective enough as a leader to pass a public health insurance option into law. Here in Nevada, the majority wants it. Senator Reid, these insurance companies cannot be trusted with our lives. Nevadans want the choice of a public option.
The Progressive Change Campaign Committee is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Joining me now via telephone, the co-founder of that organization behind that ad, the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, Adam Green. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Well, with friends like you, Harry Reid doesn't need enemies.
Well, we're trying to be his friends. We're trying to give him some good political advice for 2010, which is be strong on the public option, and voters will have your back.
So this is just about giving him political advice. You also have released a poll this week that asked some pretty tough questions, or should I say elicited some tough answers from the public about Harry Reid's leadership. You asked those who had an unfavorable view of Reid whether he's too far to the left or not progressive enough. 92% of Democrats say Senator Reid is not progressive enough. 6% say he's too far to the left. Among independents, this is really interesting, 55% say Senator Reid is not progressive enough. Only 40% say he's too far to the left. You also asked the respondents to this poll by Research 2000 whether they think Reid is a strong or weak leader. 52% of those polled say Harry Reid is a weak leader. 24% say he's a strong leader. Among Democrats, 47% say Reid's a weak leader, 39% strong leader. Independents, again, stark numbers for the senator. 53% view the senator as a weak leader, compared with 22% who say he is a strong leader. So why do this? Well, I mean, these numbers are surprising only in, I think, the margins among independents, perhaps. Why do this to the senator?
Here's why. I think unlike some senators in D.C., which really in their heart may oppose the public option, I don't think Harry Reid's in that category. I think if he had his druthers, he would support a public option.
Why do you think that?
The problem is that he is majority leader.
Mr. Green,
and recently he's allowed his Democratic caucus to get away with essentially threatening to side with Republicans to deny an up or down vote on health care.
Why do you think Harry Reid favors a public option so strongly? Why do you believe that?
I believe it based on his past public statements. At times, when I think he was speaking off the cuff, he said things like, I support a public option, it will be in the final bill. But when push, and if that's wrong, that's wrong. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt there. But what we're making clear in this poll is that there's no doubt Nevadans support the public option. It's a huge margin in the poll, about 14 points. And we're making clear that if he is not a strong leader in getting the Democratic caucus to rally around the public option, there will be political consequences back home. Now, in the Senate, it can be seen as a club. These guys are friends. Often, they served together for decades, and they don't like offending each other. So it's easy to cut a backroom deal which shortchanges the public. And Harry Reid, given that he's been there a while, may be inclined to do that, especially since he sees himself as this leader. But if he's really a leader, this is the time he needs to essentially, form his legacy. Lay down the law, say this is the moment for Democrats to be Democrats, and at a very minimum, every Democrat should be there on the procedural question of whether to allow an up or down vote, and Harry Reid can have a huge impact there.
Just so people know exactly how you asked that question about the public option, I want to show people how you asked it, which is the same wording the New York Times used in its poll. Would you favor or oppose the government offering everyone a government-administered health insurance plan, something like the Medicare coverage that people 65 and older get that would compete with private insurance plans? 54%, these are Nevadans, favored the plan. 39% were opposed. Democrats, 84% favor, 12% say they oppose it. Independents, 55% favor the plan, 39% oppose it. This has long been true, though, Mr. Green. A lot of polls I have seen over the last few months, and this seems to have been forgotten in a lot of the mainstream media coverage, the public option has always had at least a slight majority of support. Why don't you think it's more popular among the Club of 100?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that Harry Reid is falling total victim to this, but he's received about $2 million from health and insurance interests. Folks like Max Baucus, who wrote the bill, took $3.9 million from these interests. Money speaks a lot in Washington, and again, Washington is kind of a bubble where insiders speak to insiders, and it's very easy for the public opinion to get lost in the mix. So again, our message to Harry Reid is that there are political consequences for you not being a strong leader on this issue. And this is the kind of, the ad that you played before is the kind of thing that a lot of kind of D.C. insider groups wouldn't put on TV. They would be afraid of offending Harry Reid. And I feel very lucky that we have a strong grassroots membership, and over 1,500 people have gone to boldprogressives.org to help us raise over $50,000 to put this ad on the air. So we really hope that Harry Reid gets this message. At the end of the day, decides to be strong on the public option.
Yeah, you certainly aren't afraid to offend the senior senator, and obviously you're taking somewhat of a risk, I guess, in doing that. Well, what is your take now as, I don't know if you consider yourself a member of a D.C. insider group or not, but as a D.C. insider, tell us, where are the votes right now, today, as we're talking?
Well, there are over 50 votes in the Senate for the public option. So if there was a clean up or down vote, it would pass easily. The only question is if Republicans force a filibuster, which is them essentially saying we won't allow an up or down vote, will any Democrats side with them on that? Basically, Harry Reid has made a big deal for the last couple of years about the fact that despite the fact that he's majority leader, he needs 60 votes to get anything done. Well, now he has them, and the reason he needs them is to basically allow this procedural question to happen. And this is the moment. I was really surprised a couple of days ago when Arlen Specter, of all people, relayed the fact that he urged the Democratic caucus to be unified on this procedural question. And Harry Reid came up to him afterwards and said, "Thanks for saying that. I was reluctant to do so." Well, honestly, it's Harry Reid's job to do so. And that's our whole point in saying that he needs to be strong, he needs to be a leader. And if he does that, we'll pass the public option.
Well, I appreciate your willingness to come on the program. Mr. Green, we're going to ask a couple of local folks in a moment. What do they think he's a strong leader? Thanks for coming on the program.
Thanks again. And those who are interested, again, it's boldprogressives.org.
All right. He got his website in, too. Truly a D.C. insider. When we come back, we're going to talk to a couple of liberals who have slightly different takes, I think, on Harry Reid's performance on health care reform. Back in a moment.